The morning after, she was already awake, leaning against the headboard with a cigarette between her fingers, a troubled look on her face. The faint light of dawn filtered through the blinds, casting long shadows across the room. I could see the regret in the way she held herself, in the crease between her eyebrows. I broke the silence, trying to ease the tension that felt thick enough to suffocate. "Hey," I said softly. "We're both adults. Let's just call it helping each other out. It's fine." A visible wave of relief washed over her, and she managed a small smile as she exhaled a plume of smoke. "That's good," she said, her voice a little scratchy, "because I have a boyfriend." The words hit me with the force of a physical blow. I stared at her, trying to process it. "A boyfriend?" I asked, my own voice sounding distant. "Yeah," she said, her tone serious now. "I'm planning to bring him home this year. When you meet him, you'll know what you should or shouldn't say." After a brief, heavy silence, I forced a smile onto my face. "Don't worry, I get it. We're good friends, after all." Clara seemed satisfied with my response. She extinguished her cigarette in the ashtray on the nightstand and began to get dressed. "Smart boy," she said, pulling on her jeans. "Don't worry, I won't forget about you. I have a very handsome friend I can introduce to you sometime." Pausing at the door, she looked back at me, her expression unreadable. "Leo, we always said that whoever finds true love first, the other has to give their blessing. You'll bless us, right?" I kept the smile plastered on my face, even though it felt like my facial muscles were cracking. "Of course. When you two get married, I'll give you a huge red envelope." She smiled, a genuine, happy smile this time, and then she was gone, closing the door gently behind her. For a long time, I just lay there. Eventually, I reached for the half-smoked cigarette Clara had left by the bed and lit it. I'm not really a smoker. Even though Clara had tried to teach me a few times over the years, I never got the hang of it, and always ended up in a coughing fit. This time was no different. The harsh smoke burned my throat, sending me into a series of deep, racking coughs. With each spasm, it felt like my heart was being torn apart, and my eyes began to blur with unshed tears. How many years had I been secretly in love with Clara? It must be the 7th year now. Last night we had gone out for dinner, just like we always did. We drank a lot, and I can't remember who made the first move, but somehow we ended up tangled together in my sheets. This morning, the eager excitement I had felt upon waking turned into an icy dread the moment I saw her furrowed brow. The aches in my body were nothing compared to the sharp, piercing pain in my chest. So I had put on a casual face, telling her I didn't expect her to take responsibility, that it was just mutual assistance. I saw the relief flood her features then, the way a slight smile touched her lips as she said, "That's good." I had always thought Clara had some feelings for me. We did everything a couple does, just without the official label. She hated staying in her dorm, so throughout college I took the train every single week to stay with her, keeping her apartment near the campus clean and tidy. We shopped for groceries together, cooked and ate together, played video games on the couch for hours. She was good to me, always remembering to bring me gifts from her trips and never missing a holiday or birthday with a surprise. Over the years, I got used to this comfortable illusion, thinking that a future together was just waiting for one of us to take that final step. It turns out, that was just a story I was telling myself. I never understood why so many people liked nicotine. Now I think I get it. It doesn't bring you happiness, but it can make you feel a little less miserable. I learned how to smoke, just like that, on this very day. The next day was New Year's, and as was our tradition, my family and I went over to Clara's for dinner. Our families were close, especially our mothers, who had been best friends since they were children. After our grandparents passed away, we started spending most holidays together. When her mother opened the door, I was a bit taken aback. Seated at the dining table right next to Clara was a man in a crisp white turtleneck. He had neat, clean-cut black hair and was strikingly handsome, like an actor from a television drama. "Who's this?" my mom asked, pausing in surprise. "This is Julian, Clara's boyfriend," her mom announced with a wide, proud smile. "We've been waiting for her to bring someone home for years. Thank goodness, I used to think she'd never get married." Clara smiled at me, the same easy smile she always had. "Come on, Leo, sit down. My mom made your favorite braised chicken wings. You don't have to share this time. The whole plate is yours." I hesitated for a moment before taking a seat as far away from her as I could manage. Clara's smile faltered slightly. The atmosphere was less lively than usual, and I quietly focused on my food. Perhaps noticing the tension, Clara's mom began to sing Julian's praises. Julian is a fellow alum of Clara's. He was a scholarship winner every year. His parents are both professors. He's been a stellar student his whole life, and he got an offer from ER magazine right after graduation. He's an editor now. My own mother was full of praise. "So handsome and so talented. Imagine how good-looking your kids will be." She then cast a familiar, critical glance in my direction, a look I'd received countless times. "Unlike our Leo, he's done nothing since graduation. Talks about writing a book, but hasn't produced a single word. He never leaves the house. You're 26, Leo. It's only going to get harder to find someone. All the good ones get snapped up fast. I worry myself sick." I clenched my chopsticks, my knuckles turning white. My mom's criticism usually didn't bother me, but hearing it in front of Clara and her perfect boyfriend felt like having my skin peeled off in public. "Leo is talented," Clara's mom said kindly. "One day he might become a famous author, and you'll live in comfort then." My mom just shrugged. "I'm not holding my breath. If he just brings a girl home someday, I'll consider my mission accomplished." Julian suddenly spoke up, his voice smooth and pleasant. "I know a lot of wonderful girls, Leo. Why don't we exchange numbers? I can introduce you to someone." I glanced at him and forced a smile. "Thanks, but no need." Julian smiled back, taking Clara's hand affectionately. "Come on, there's no need to be polite. Clara says you're her best friend since you were kids. I've actually seen you around campus before. You were always with Clara. Back then, I honestly thought you two might end up together." "No way," Clara said, wrapping an arm around his shoulder, her eyes curving into a beautiful smile. "We've known each other since we were kids. We're practically family. If we were going to get together, it would have happened a long time ago. We're just friends. Best friends. Right, Leo?" I looked up and met Clara's warning gaze. I must have had a strange expression on my face, but I had used up every last bit of acting I could muster. "Yeah," I repeated, the words tasting like poison. Best friends. It was also absurd it was almost funny. Best friends who had slept together just yesterday. Julian chuckled. "Well, that would make him my best friend too. Don't be shy about telling me what kind of girl you like." "Yeah," Clara added, turning her eyes to me. "Leo, you really should find someone." I lowered my head, thinking tears might come, but they didn't. My eyes just felt dry and sore. The atmosphere at the dinner table was lively, with everyone wearing a smile, except for me. My mom kept complimenting how well Clara and Julian matched, and she was right. As a couple, they looked perfect together. In terms of appearance, education, and ability, it was like they were made for each other. I watched them, feeling like I was punishing myself, my nails digging into my palms. My mom tapped my hand with her chopsticks, telling me to bring someone home to make her happy, saying she didn't expect me to find someone like Clara, but anyone decent would be fine. I couldn't sit there a moment longer. I stood up, pushed my bowl away, and tried to maintain a shred of politeness. "Auntie, Uncle, I just remembered I have something to do. I'll head out now." I had planned to finish a draft that night, but my mind was a complete mess. I couldn't write a single thing. I lay on my bed feeling like I wanted to shout but couldn't make a sound, wanted to cry but had no tears. My throat and tear ducts seemed to be blocked, and the discomfort compressed my entire body. So I went downstairs to buy cigarettes. My hometown gets a lot of snow in the winter. Thick snowflakes fell, glowing orange under the halo of the streetlights. I suddenly remembered all the times Clara and I had walked home from school together, talking endlessly. We would chat until we reached my house, and even then, we'd stand in the freezing cold until our conversation was finished. If I sneezed, she would unwind her gray scarf and wrap it around my neck, reminding me to wear more layers next time. She was genuinely wonderful, just not in the way I wished she was. Not being into me was her only flaw in my eyes, but it wasn't really a flaw. She was simply in a different league. Her future with Julian was bright and promising, while my dull life felt like it had peaked with a dream that was never real. I stared blankly at the falling snow, a cigarette hanging from my lips, ready to light it. That's when I noticed two figures in the distance, holding hands. One was tall and upright, the other gracefully shaped, blending into the snowy scene like a shot from a movie. It was Julian and Clara. They laughed at something, and Julian stood on his tiptoes to kiss her. She leaned in, deepening the kiss. The streetlight that used to shine on us was now illuminating them. Even I had to admit it was a beautiful sight. I watched for a few seconds, then pressed the lighter with stiff fingers. My hand fumbled, but I finally managed to spark a flame. I unsteadily exhaled a cloud of white smoke, but this time the nicotine didn't work. My heart just ached with a dull, slow burn. This winter was so very cold. New Year's Day was filled with my mom's nagging, criticizing my lack of a job and a partner, and constantly comparing me to Clara. "Look at Clara," she'd say. "You've never measured up to her since you were little, and now the difference is even clearer." The worst part was, she was right. Clara's startup was thriving. Julian was already an editor at a well-known magazine, and their futures shone brightly while I had nothing. That night, I couldn't hold back anymore. I argued with my mom and headed straight to the airport, buying the first ticket back to my apartment in the city. The moment the plane landed, Clara called. "I heard from your mom you left. Why didn't you wait for me?" "Couldn't get the draft done at home," I lied. "Had to come back to work on it." The truth was, I couldn't write anywhere right now. Clara saw through it immediately. "Argued with your mom again, didn't you? She just wants you to be settled. Anyway, I got you a gift. I'll give it to you when I'm back." A week later, on the 8th, Clara was back and asked me out. "Dinner tonight. I'll give you your gift." She always had a knack for finding things I loved but would never buy for myself. I had always accepted them without guilt, but this time I refused. "I don't want it, Clara. Stop buying things for me." Clara sounded puzzled. "Why? What's up?" I looked down at my shoes. "Now that you're dating someone, buying such expensive gifts for another guy might make your boyfriend uncomfortable." Even though I was hurting, I was genuinely happy for her if she was happy. I held no grudge against Julian. If it wasn't him, it would have been someone else. It was never going to be me. "No worries," came Clara's light-hearted reply. "Julian's not that petty. Tonight at 7, usual spot." "Okay, gotta go, I have a meeting." After she hung up, I couldn't quite describe the feeling in my chest. It was like bitter plum juice was seeping through me. Sometimes I hated how nice Clara was to me. I'd almost prefer it if she treated me a little worse, so I wouldn't like her so much. Of course, Julian didn't care. Clara didn't like me romantically, which meant he didn't need to see me as a threat. We weren't rivals in love. I wasn't even qualified to be his rival. Clara didn't give me a chance to say no, so after work, I headed to our usual restaurant. To my surprise, there were 3 people at the table. Julian was there, along with a woman I didn't recognize. She was very beautiful, with a kind of celebrity air about her. I paused, and then Clara waved me over. "Over here!" As soon as I sat down, she introduced the woman. "This is my friend, Sophie. We knew each other as kids. She went to MIT, and now she's running her own company." Before I could figure out why she was giving me so many details, Clara silently mouthed the word single to me. Everything clicked in a second. She wasn't giving me a gift. She was trying to set me up. A storm of emotions churned inside me. I probably looked awful, but I couldn't control my expression. I could accept that Clara didn't like me, but I couldn't accept her rushing to set me up with someone else. Did she know how much I liked her? How could she just brush it off like this? Or was she just afraid I'd keep hanging around, so she was pushing me to date someone else quickly? Clara didn't seem to notice my feelings. "You guys met as kids, right?" "Don't remember," I said, looking down at the table. Sophie, however, wasn't upset. She smiled and said, "Leo, you used to pick on me when we were kids, remember? Now you're acting like you don't know me. Not cool." She pointed to a small, faint scar on her forehead. "We were neighbors back then. I was new in the area, and Clara was the queen bee, always picking fights with me. And you used to back her up." She rested her chin on her hand, her eyes crinkling with a smile. "You were really feisty back then. Now you seem so calm." And then it all came back to me. All the neighborhood kids listened to Clara, except for this new girl who always challenged her. One time they got into a scuffle, and I stepped in to help Clara. I just wanted to scare her a little, but I tripped, and a small rock I was holding hit her forehead, making her bleed. I got a good scolding from my mom that day and had to go apologize. Her parents were understanding and didn't blame me. After that, feeling guilty, I couldn't say no when Sophie wanted to play. Soon, I was spending more time with her than with Clara, which made Clara mad a few times. But within a couple of years, Sophie's family moved away. The memory of her faded over time, yet here she was, that fierce little kid, all grown up into an incredibly attractive woman. "We bumped into each other and started talking about you," Clara said. "So we thought, why not get everyone together for a meal?" Then she handed me a gift box. It was a cardio watch. I'd once mentioned how much I liked that model, and she had remembered. "Julian picked it out for you," she added. Good taste, right? I paused, the gift box feeling heavy in my hand. Julian smiled. "Yes, Clara and I saw it when we were traveling and thought it would look great on you. Do you like it?" I suddenly found the situation absurd. Julian and I really did have similar tastes, not just in watches, but also in women. He was a good guy. He must have known I liked Clara, yet he never made it difficult for me, just subtly reinforced the fact that she had no romantic feelings for me. I forced a small smile, putting all my energy into it. "I like it, thanks." That evening, Clara called me. "I gave Sophie your number. She's really nice. You should get to know her better." "Nice," I muttered, glancing at the moon shining coldly outside. "Of course she's nice. You have no idea how popular she is. She's never even dated before, promise. She's totally clean." Clara's praise for Sophie was relentless, as if she was afraid I wouldn't like her and would keep clinging to her. My heart felt like it was being squeezed in a vice. The tears that hadn't fallen earlier started to spill down my cheeks. I didn't dare speak, fearing my voice would crack, but Clara heard my choked silence anyway. She sighed. "Leo, I've always seen you as a friend. Don't waste your time on me." My heart shattered. So she knew. She had always known that I liked her. In the suffocating pain, I shakily lit a cigarette. Nicotine really was a magical thing. It dulled the pain that felt like it was killing me just a moment ago. Liking her was a hopeless journey I'd been on for years, but I never saw the end. Maybe it was time to stop here. I heard myself reply, the words feeling distant and foreign. Okay, I'll at her. That same night, after finishing the cigarette, I decided to give up on Clara. Sophie didn't add me on social media until the next day. At first, our conversation was a little awkward, but she quickly brought up our childhood memories, which made things easier. Do you remember you used to love those grilled sausages from that food stall? I'd spend all my pocket money on them for us. You'd eat yours so fast you'd end up eating half of mine, too. I blushed, remembering it was true. I used to be a bit of a brat. Sophie seemed tough, but she could never really handle my tantrums. She was the one who bought me snacks and carried me on her back when my legs hurt. I haven't been back for a while, she typed. Not sure where the good food spots are anymore. I thought for a bit and recommended an old spot Clara and I used to go to all the time. Sounds nice, she replied. Want to go together? You owe me a lot of sausages. It's about time you paid me back, right? I couldn't really refuse. All right, I'll treat you. The weather had been gray and snowy for days. Winter afternoons get dark early, and snowflakes shimmered in the headlights of passing cars. I spotted Sophie right away, standing by the roadside food stalls. She just stood out. She was wearing a long gray wool coat over a black turtleneck and holding a fancy Bentley umbrella. Her presence was undeniable. I felt a blush creep up my neck. We're just hitting up a food stall? Why'd you dress so fancy? Sophie tilted the umbrella to cover me as I approached. She looked down and said sheepishly, I just came from a meeting and didn't have time to change. Should I go back and change now? No, that's cool, I said, tugging her towards the stalls. Their grilled squid is amazing and you have to try the eggplant. As the dishes arrived, I tried to make small talk. You've really made it big now. You used to get into fights all the time. I can barely recognize you. You've changed so much. Sophie's eyes sparkled. Honestly, I never meant to fight with you. I had just moved and didn't have friends. I thought you looked cute and wanted to be friends, but Clara wouldn't have it. So we ended up fighting. I was stunned. Huh? She was pretty fierce back then, Sophie said thoughtfully. Every time she saw us hanging out, she'd confront me. I thought she liked you, but it turns out you're just buddies. My smile faded a bit. Yeah, just buddies. Suddenly my phone buzzed. It was a message from Clara. What are you doing? Come out to eat. Found an awesome spot. Before I could reply, Sophie nudged the menu towards me. I've never tried grilled eggplant. Is it good? It's delicious, I said, perking up. Their grilled eggplant is amazing. You've got to try it. Oh, and they have fresh beer, too. I called over to the owner. Boss, 2 fresh beers, please. A few drinks in, the vibe changed. Sophie tipped her head. Clara mentioned you're writing a book. Can I take a look? It's just an online novel, I waved off. Not a big deal. That's still cool, she said, laughing a bit. I thought about writing thrillers once, but I gave up after a few pages. You like thrillers too? I was surprised. Yeah, she paused. I remember you used to be great at writing essays in school. Even back then I thought you'd do well as a writer. I knew it was probably just small talk, but at a time when no one else supported my dream, not even my parents, those kind words warmed my heart. Talking with Sophie was fun. She never let the conversation die. We had a blast, and even planned our next hangout. It wasn't until after dinner, when I was in the restroom, that I saw a string of messages and missed calls from Clara. My light mood grew heavy. I hesitated for a moment before stepping outside to call her back. What's up? Where have you been? She asked. her voice a bit annoyed. "Working late, missed your messages," I lied. "I texted you to grab food, but you didn't reply. I haven't eaten yet. Come over." I looked down. "I'm not coming. I just finished eating." "By yourself?" she asked, puzzled. "With Sophie." The wind blew snowflakes onto my face, a slight chill against my skin. There was a brief silence on her end before her voice came through, a bit distorted. "Sophie? You barely know her and you're already having dinner together?" "Weren't you the one who introduced us?" I said a bit defensively. Victoria was walking over, and being on the phone for too long felt rude, so I quickly said, "Gotta go," and hung up. More messages pinged in immediately. "What time will you be back?" "Send your location. It's late. I'll come get you." I frowned, but then Sophie waved her phone. "I just got us a driver. Let's go. Where are you living now?" Her words sounded so natural that I instinctively answered, "Central Block." She quickly told the driver, then opened the car door for me. She sat beside me, and a fresh scent of mint, lemon, and sea salt wafted over. "Who are you texting?" she asked. "You've been on your phone all night." I put my phone down. "No one." It wasn't until Sophie had dropped me off and left that I remembered to respond to Clara. "Don't worry, she already gave me a lift." Immediately, my phone started ringing. It was Clara. "Did she drive you home? Does she know where you live now? Isn't that moving a bit fast?" I was confused. "Weren't you the one who pushed her on me saying how nice and popular she is?" Clara went silent for a moment, then changed the subject. "What did she treat you to for dinner?" "I treated her. We went to that street food stall we go to." "You took her to the place I introduced you to?" Clara suddenly raised her voice. "Yeah, what's the big deal?" "Nothing. I just thought she'd at least take you somewhere fancy, not let you pay. A Michelin star restaurant, maybe." Her vibe was completely off, all passive-aggressive. I didn't know what was wrong with her. I was a bit tipsy and sleepy and didn't want to argue. "We go there often too, Clara. You're acting really weird tonight. What's the deal?" She was quiet for a second, then said curtly, "Nothing," and hung up. When it was time to wash Buddy, I was in a bit of a bind. Buddy is a stray Labrador mix Clara and I picked up a few years ago. He's been living with me ever since. He's big and fidgety during baths, so a lot of local groomers refused to handle him. Clara and I always ended up washing him at home together because it's nearly impossible to control him alone. But now that she was dating someone, it felt awkward to ask for her help. After wrestling with my thoughts, I ended up calling Sophie. "So, yeah, if you're busy, it's no big deal," I finished lamely. Sophie readily agreed. "Don't worry about it, just a dog. I've got it covered." An hour later, Sophie was wincing and looking at a welt on her leg. "Seriously, Leo, shouldn't a Labrador's tail be classified as a weapon?" Buddy seemed to love Sophie. She had bribed him with a big piece of cod when she arrived, and he wouldn't leave her side, his tail wagging and thumping against her legs. With a pained smile, Sophie wrestled Buddy into the tub. As soon as he saw the water, he went nuts, constantly trying to leap out. While she was adjusting the water temperature, Buddy unexpectedly knocked her over, causing her to fall towards me in our cramped bathroom. Thankfully, she caught herself before completely crashing into me, though she still landed hard, her body pressing against mine. The small bathroom fogged up with steam. The scent of lemon and mint soap was thick in the air. Sophie's white shirt was soaked and clung to her, revealing her figure underneath. We were way too close. She looked down at me, her lips a bright, wet red, her clear eyes clouded and intense. A drip of water rolled down from her hair and landed on the corner of my mouth, causing me to jerk my head back. "Are you okay?" she asked, pausing before slowly getting to her feet. She gave me a little smile. I'm all right. But why is your face so red? She leaned in, tilting her head with an innocent look, her full lips looking like fresh cherries. Leo, are you running a fever? In an instant, my face flushed hot. I practically scrambled out of the bathroom. I just remembered I've got something to do. You can continue washing him. I heard a light chuckle behind me as I fled. After that, Sophie came over several more times to help wash the dog, each time bringing a different gift for him. Buddy quickly turned traitor, getting more excited to see her than me. One day, while I was walking Buddy outside, I ran into Clara, who was carrying a shopping bag. "What are you doing here?" I asked, surprised. "Haven't seen Buddy in ages. He probably needs a bath, right?" she said, gesturing with the bag. "I bought new pet shampoo and some treats. You're such a forgetful dad, never calling me to wash our kid." Ever since we found Buddy, Clara had called herself his mom. Initially, I was quietly pleased and called myself his dad, but now it just made me feel a weird discomfort. Buddy wagged his tail excitedly, heading in her direction. But just as Clara smiled and reached down to hug him, he ran right past her and into Sophie's arms, who had just walked up. Sophie smiled, gave Buddy a jerky treat, and said, "Buddy, did you miss your other mom?" Clara's smile vanished. Her tone turned cold. "What are you doing here?" Sophie seemed oblivious to her icy mood. "I came to bathe my dog." I'd never seen Clara like this. She was usually so good with people, but now her voice was sharp. "Buddy is my son." "Oh, is he?" Sophie said, petting Buddy's head. "Well, he doesn't seem to like you very much." Sparks flew between the two women. "Buddy!" Clara's chilling voice called. "Come here!" Buddy just looked confused, circling Sophie's legs. It had been 2 months since Clara had visited. When Buddy was a puppy, he was hit by a car, and his memory was never quite the same. He didn't recognize her anymore. Clara's face fell as she grabbed Buddy's collar. "Buddy, I was the one who took you in when you were a puppy wandering the streets. Don't you remember me?" Buddy, scared, backed away behind Sophie. "Clara, you're scaring him," Sophie said, frowning. But Clara wouldn't give up. "You ungrateful dog! I'm your mom!" At his wits' end, Buddy whimpered and bit Clara on the hand. It wasn't a hard bite, but it drew blood. She stood there, staring in shock at the mark on her hand. "Are you all right?" I asked anxiously. Sophie pulled me aside. "Look at Buddy, he's trembling. Let's take him to the vet." I saw that Buddy was lying on the ground, shaking and whimpering. Panic hit me. "You know how scared he gets," I snapped at Clara. "Why did you scare him like that? I'm taking him to the vet. You go get a rabies shot." Clara stood there, pale as a sheet, staring at me as I got into Sophie's car and drove away. Buddy was okay, just frightened. I felt awful about the whole thing. Looking at the dog, who seemed so down, I sighed and hugged him. Meanwhile, my book wasn't doing well. My mom called to nag me again. "What's come of that book of yours? Look at Clara and her boyfriend. Why is everyone else so successful? Just get a stable job." Feeling restless and defeated, I grabbed a cigarette. The sharp cold mixed with the nicotine stung my throat as I stared into the dark night, feeling lost. Maybe my mom was right. Just then, my phone buzzed. It was Sophie. "There's a meteor shower in Leo tomorrow night," she said, her voice excited. "I have a villa in the mountains with a telescope. Want to check it out?" I hesitated, but she added, "I heard wishing on the Leo meteor shower really works." I found myself saying yes. Sophie's mountain villa had an entire glass wall that looked out onto a sea of stars. I sat with her, wrapped in a blanket, suddenly feeling way out of my league. I knew Sophie liked me, but I couldn't understand why. What could a regular guy like me offer someone like her? Feeling a sudden craving for a smoke, I turned to her. Got a cigarette? She paused, surprised. You smoke? A small rebellion flared in me. Yeah, I'm a smoker. Does that bother you? Why would it? She said, raising an eyebrow. It's your choice. She pulled out a box. Last one, it's menthol. Want it? I nodded. She lit it for me, her long lashes casting shadows on her cheeks. After I took one puff, she gestured. Give me a hit. You just saw it was the last one, didn't you? Planning to hog it all? She teased, her eyes a light, clear shade in the moonlight. I couldn't refuse. She smoothly took the cigarette from my fingers and put it between her lips, squinting as she blew out a stream of minty smoke. Then she wrapped the blanket tightly around both of us. Leo, I really like you, she said softly. I liked you when we were kids, and when we met again, I liked you right away. You might not realize how amazing you are, but I've always been able to see it. She pointed at the sky, where a meteor shower had quietly begun. Just like that, you're dazzling. I stared in awe at the streaks of light. She chuckled and gently patted my head. Make a wish. I quickly closed my eyes. I hope for the life I want and for my career to be successful. When I opened them, I met Sophie's smiling gaze. My face grew hot. What did you wish for? I asked awkwardly. Sophie said nothing, just leaned in slightly, her gaze on my lips. Her voice was a bit raspy. There's only one puff left. You want it? I could hear my heart pounding as I replied, yes. The filter was still damp and warm from her lips. A second later, a warm thumb caught my chin. As the cool taste of mint and nicotine filled my mouth, her lips met mine. Smoke found its way out between us as my breath was stolen. I leaned back, instinctively gripping her wrist, and she gently but firmly interlocked her fingers with mine. Outside, the meteor shower intensified. Her tongue brushed against the corner of my mouth. So, what are we now? She whispered. What do you think? I asked back. Well then, she laughed, nibbling on my lip. I think I'm now your girlfriend. If you don't say anything, I'll take it as a yes. Suddenly, my phone rang. Fumbling to answer, I accidentally turned on the speaker. A voice from the other end abruptly cooled the heated air between us. Leo, why aren't you here yet? My mind went blank. What? Clara's voice dropped a notch. It's my birthday today. Did you forget? Panic swept over me. I had completely forgotten. It used to be the most important day of the year for me. Sorry, I admitted honestly. I forgot. No gift is fine, she said, obviously upset. Just come to my place. I've got food and movies ready, just waiting for you. Her birthdays were always just the two of us. You're in a relationship now, I frowned. It's not appropriate for me to come over. Maybe you and Julian should spend it together. Leo, the meteor shower is about to end, Sophie whispered, giving me a slightly annoyed push. Hearing her voice, Clara instantly fell silent. After an agonizing pause, her cold laughter filled the room. Leo, is it because I'm dating, or is it that you just don't want to come? It's just not convenient, I sighed. I'm with Sophie. Happy birthday. I'll make it up to you later with a gift. Her voice rose sharply. Sophie, it's always Sophie. Is she that important? How long have we known each other compared to her? I found it oddly funny. Aren't we all adults? Shouldn't we know to keep some distance? I suddenly felt like I never really knew her. Of course she's my girlfriend, I said calmly. After a suffocating silence, Clara awkwardly squeezed out, You guys are together? Yeah, I nodded. Didn't you introduce us hoping we'd get together? You were right. She is as wonderful as you said. I should thank you. Sophie took the phone, a bright smile on her face. Thanks, Clara. We'll treat you to dinner together soon. 3 seconds later, the call was abruptly hung up. I stared at the phone in a daze. Sophie hugged me. "Don't get distracted. The meteor shower is almost over." I decided to give myself one last chance, to write one more book. If it failed, I'd give up this path entirely. That night, I threw away all my old ideas. I didn't want to write romance anymore. I wanted to write a comeback story. After that night, Clara and I fell into a cold war. A few weeks later, Julian called. "A friend of mine just opened a new escape room. He wants us to try it out. Why not bring Sophie along?" I declined, but he was insistent. "Come on, do me a favor. Clara and I don't have many close friends here. If you don't come, I don't know who else to ask." It was hard to refuse, so I agreed. It had been a while since I'd last seen Clara. She wasn't exactly thrilled to see me, her gaze flickering over me before looking away coldly. The escape room was incredibly realistic and terrifying. I was so scared. I clung to Sophie's arm, my palms sweating. Clara, however, seemed completely unfazed. As we neared the exit, in the final room, a bloody female ghost suddenly grabbed my ankle from under a bed. I was scared out of my mind. In my panic, I tripped and fell backward. Just as I was about to hit the ground, 2 pairs of hands reached out to catch me. I instinctively grabbed the closest ones and found myself pressed against a body that smelled faintly of mint. It was Sophie. "Are you okay?" she asked. Before I could respond, the room lit up. I looked to the side. Clara was holding her hands out awkwardly towards me, frozen in midair. Julian had fallen to the floor at her feet, looking between her and me with a sour expression. The atmosphere was more suffocating than the game had been. That evening, Julian asked to meet me alone. His eyes were red. "Clara and I broke up," he said. I was surprised. Was it because of the escape room? I can explain. She must have mistaken me for... "Actually," he chuckled weakly, "I specifically wanted to ask you to come. For the past 2 months, ever since she found out about you and Sophie, Clara's been down. I'd catch her looking at old photos of you two. She's been waiting for you to reach out. At first, I thought she just saw you as a friend, but later I realized she couldn't remember that I hate celery, but she always remembered you hate mushrooms. Her eyes are always on you. She says she hopes you find a girlfriend. But when you did, she was more upset than anyone. I realized she doesn't actually like me. She just thought I was the best fit for her perfect life plan. She only realized she liked you after you left her. What I do know is she really cares about you. That's why I invited you. I wanted to test my theory." He took a sip of his coffee. "Anyway, I'm heading to France for a project. I just wanted to give you a heads up. She's clueless about her feelings. Don't say yes to her. I just want to see her lose for once." My mind was a mess. When I got home, Clara was leaning against the wall by my door. In the dim light, we locked eyes. "Julian and I broke up," she said, her head lowered. "What's that got to do with me?" I reflexively stepped back. She took a step closer. "Sophie's not right for you. Break up with her. I've realized something, Leo. I like you. You like me too. Let's be together again, just like before." Her certainty was so absolute I couldn't help but laugh, a bitter, angry sound. "Clara, you're too full of yourself. I haven't liked you for a long time. I like Sophie now." "Like," she said with a mocking smile. "You've barely known her. What do you even know about each other?" She suddenly grabbed my hand. "I was wrong before. I didn't realize how I felt. I'll make it up to you. You've liked me for so long. How can you just let it go?" "You're insane." She grabbed the back of my neck and pushed me into a kiss. I kept my mouth tightly shut, but she forcefully pried it open. Overwhelmed with anger and frustration, I gritted my teeth and slapped her hard across the face. "Clara, what do you think I am? Some pet you can just call back when you feel like it? We're equals. Even though I did like you, it doesn't mean I have no self-respect." That's not what I meant, she stammered. Whatever, I said, wiping my mouth forcefully. Since that's how it is, we're not even friends anymore. I stormed upstairs and slammed the door. A week later, I was startled awake by a message from a friend. Dude, your story hit the homepage. Someone gave you a ton of diamond votes. I jumped out of bed. My story was indeed on the homepage. Someone with a jumbled username had given me 100 diamond votes, worth a small fortune, keeping my story at the top. It couldn't be Clara. She had never even asked where I published my work. It couldn't be Sophie. I'd never told her which site I used. Soon, the number of subscribers to my work started growing exponentially. 10 days later, my book was on the bestseller charts. Then came a message from my editor. A company was interested in the screen rights for a 7-figure sum. I put down my phone, a feeling of immense relief washing over me. After a while, I messaged Sophie. Looks like that shooting star wish came true. She replied quickly. That's awesome. Let's watch again next time. When my mom's birthday came around, I had made my first 100,000. I went home with bags full of gifts, but my smile dropped when I opened the door. Clara was sitting on the sofa, helping my mom peel garlic. My mom started in on me immediately. What's with your attitude? Look at Clara, so busy but still here for my birthday. All these gifts she brought them. You should be grateful someone like her likes you. Mom, I said, a headache starting. I already have a girlfriend. What girlfriend? She waved her hand dismissively. We've known Clara's family for years. Why settle for someone else when Clara is right here? Just then, the doorbell rang. It was Sophie, holding a huge bouquet of flowers, looking utterly stunning. Hi, you must be Auntie, she said with a charming smile. I'm Sophie, Leo's girlfriend. Sorry to barge in, but I heard it was your birthday. My mom blushed, stammering. Of course, come in! Through the meal, Sophie had my mom completely won over, especially after she learned Sophie owned a successful company. Clara's grip on her chopsticks tightened, her smile faltering. That night, as Sophie was about to leave, she let out a small yelp. Oh no, there are no rooms available in any nearby hotels. Why stay in a hotel? My mom said immediately, pulling her back. Stay at our place, we have an extra room. She didn't forget to add, Clara, I'm not asking you to stay since you live so close. Clara turned pale, clenching her fists. The next day, my mom nudged me to take Sophie out. There wasn't much to see nearby, except for a famous mountain temple that was said to be very spiritual. Just as we were about to head out, Clara showed up again. Mind if I join? With a scowl, I had to take both of them up the mountain. I enthusiastically took Sophie by the hand, and we lit incense at the temple. When I stepped out, she was writing on a wooden wish plaque. She had written, "Grow old together." Touched, I took a plaque and wrote on it. But instead of hanging it up, I started searching for something. On a secluded branch, Clara, standing nearby, suddenly turned pale. After a moment, I found the wish plaque I had tied there years ago, when I was 18. The writing was faded, but you could still see it. I hope to be with Clara. I yanked that plaque down and tossed it off the mountain with all my might. Then I hung the new one up. Clara didn't come back down with us. I didn't care and left with Sophie on a flight that night. My story's stats never dropped after that, and the editor kept praising my new style. I sold the rights for a high price. I was about to start writing more when the doorbell rang. It was Clara. She looked exhausted, her face flushed and her eyes shadowed. She shakily raised a hand. In it was a faded, dirty wooden plaque. I found the wish plaque, she said, her eyes misting up. I searched for 2 days at the foot of the mountain and got it back. Leo, I found it. Can't you come back too? Her voice was hoarse. Sorry, I said, looking at her earnestly. I really only see you as a friend, Clara. Don't waste your time on me." They were words she had once told me. Her tears fell. I went back inside, shutting her out. A long time passed. I sold the rights to several more books and became a well-known screenwriter, achieving financial freedom. Clara moved abroad and, as far as I knew, remained single. On my birthdays, she'd send a gift, which a furious Sophie always threw away. By then, Sophie and I had been married for 3 years, and our child was just learning to say, "Daddy." One day, while my phone was dead, I used hers to log into a novel site and saw an eerily familiar account logged in. The username was a jumble of symbols. "Wait," I said, staring at the screen. "That was you all along? But how did you know what I wrote? Why did you—" Sophie, who had been playing with our child, leaned against me, a smile on her lips. "You shared your writings on another platform once, a long time ago. You deleted them quickly, but I saw them." She smiled brightly. "As for why, I read all your stories. I thought you were really good, especially that new one. Back then, you just needed to be noticed. I guess my intuition was right." A warm rush filled my chest. I hugged her tightly. Afternoon sunlight poured over us. Somehow, without us knowing, summer had arrived.